Manchester City takes the Premier League title once again, but will they take the Champions League? Brighton further their quest for Europe with a result over Arsenal, and we have our first relegated side. But who will follow? We will cover all of this and more on the supporter section today. Grab your scarves. We start right now. Welcome into the supporter section. I am Brandon Pasek, and this is episode 70 of the supporter section podcast. Go ahead and leave a like and subscribe if you have not already, because we are well on our way to 100 subs, and we would love to get there by summer. It's coming up. We're almost there. Please help us out. Go do that right now. I have my good friend here with me, Steven Curl. Steven, how was your week last week?
Oh, it was quite swell. So much soccer to watch. My boy Sunderland getting it done at the weekend. My other boys Tottenham. Anyways, it was a good week though. How about you?
Yeah, no, it was a great week of soccer for me. Atlanta United really crapped the bed. I actually didn't watch the game. I was busy, but I heard I don't really need to go watch the highlights because it was that bad. But let's jump into our first segment this week. This is the Golden Scarf, where we give a golden scarf to the person, team, thing, or whatever we thought deserved some praise from the previous week. Steve, start us off.
Yeah, I want to start with my Fly Seagulls Fly, baby. These guys have been amazing. I'm talking about Brighton Hove Albion. They've just about guaranteed European football after thrashing Arsenal 3-0 over the weekend. Sitting in 6th place, let's just recap this season here. Sitting in 6th place, this would be the best ever finish in the club's history. Previously set last year under unemployed Graham Potter, finishing 9th with the season prior. There's still some games left. I believe they have 2 games in hand on basically everybody else around them. After spending just £55.7 million on transfers coming into the club and selling off £138 million worth of assets and players, and this being the top finish they probably will currently ever achieve right now. Like, this is absolutely insane. And not to mention, they sold their own coach in Graham Potter to Chelsea for an additional £20 million. So all in all, £158 million brought into the club, and they only spent £55 million to reach what will most likely be their best ever finish in the Premier League. Not to mention, in potentially finishing for Europe, which seems pretty likely, they will also receive an influx of cash in qualifying for the Europa Conference League, which is a given at this point, I think it's fair to say, but most likely the Europa League. And I job well done. This is absolutely amazing. It's a masterclass. It's absolutely insane. With City winning the title this year, this is the story of the Premier League for me. This entire season, no matter any other team, Brighton, what they have done is absolutely sensational. Kudos to the Seagulls. Fly, Eagles, fly, baby.
Dude, they have been that good. I know we've harped a lot of praise on them because they're really fun to watch. And yeah, they've had some really weird results, like the 5-1 was it to Everton last week, which is really, really weird. They've had some weird results, but that result over the weekend, which we're going to get into in a minute, against Arsenal was just so good. Yeah, I think their charge for Europe is right on. My golden scarf is going to Inter Milan for beating their rivals in the Champions League 2-0 in the first leg. A great performance overall, which we're actually about to talk about. This boosts their chances to make my preseason prediction to come true and win the Champions League, my dark horse. Speaking of my dark horse, let's get into that game. The first leg, Inter Milan. They play in the same stadium, but they were away in this game. Doesn't really matter that much. They were wearing their sponsorless kits, by the way, which is sort of weird. But they look really good. And I'm telling you what, if they win it all, people, I am buying one. Hold me to it. That is now 3 wins in a row against AC Milan. Ex-Man City and Roma striker Edin Dzeko scored in the 8th minute from a corner. An amazing way to start the game. It was really good. It was sort of weird, actually. Corner directly from the corner. He's battling his defender, wraps his foot around the ball and just like puts it in.
Yeah.
Weird goal. You don't really see many like that, but a great goal. Good for Inter. Not too much longer later, in the 11th minute, the ex-Man United, Arsenal, and Roma again midfielder Henrik Mkhitaryan scored a well-worked goal. Basically tapped it in, ran in on the goalie by himself one on one, and put it in. From there, AC Milan were pretty lucky to go into the second leg only 2-0 down. It could have been a lot more. There's a couple chances went off the post. I actually think AC Milan had a chance to win off the post as well. All in all, great game from Inter. Very surprising though, wasn't it, Steve, from AC Milan not really showing up?
Yeah, I mean, this is not the result I think most people would have expected after this first leg. You may be more of a maybe a 2-1 or maybe a one goal separating these two sides, if not any goals. But Inter Milan took it to AC Milan. It just seemed like they weren't ready. Like this corner kick, like you said, like Dzeko just straight up just wrapped his leg around the defender and scored an amazing goal. But like to your point, it's a little weird. There's just was AC Milan was just caught on their back heels, and Inter took advantage of that and was lethal. And so kudos to veterans like Mkhitaryan still scoring goals in Champions League semifinals. Dzeko, this is amazing. So there's not these sexy young Phil Fodens or Hollands or whatever, but these guys still have class in those boots. So I was very surprised though. So this was definitely a wake up call. But the good news for AC Milan is they have to travel home. So, let's see if they can figure it out in the second leg at the San Siro. I imagine it'll be a way higher intense game. AC Milan has nothing to lose at this point. I believe that they're going to come out hopefully flying to make it an entertaining game, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, this is basically their last game of the season. Their domestic league is wrapped up. Um, yeah, I mean, I think it was quite obvious watching this game that they were AC Milan was missing someone, and that someone was Rafael Leao, and he got an injury. I
Yep.
forget when that was, but he wasn't able to play in this game. We highlighted him as probably the difference maker between the two teams, and probably what would lead AC Milan to the final. I think is what we discussed. But he was out injured this week. The AC Milan manager did say that Leao is fine. Steve, what impact could Leao bring to this AC Milan side in the second leg?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's just because we're talking Champions League, but to me, he's a Portuguese Jack Grealish. I mean, he is that guy that's the young player in Portugal right now. I think he is the face of, oddly enough, him coming off the bench in the World Cup, but you could see the impact that he brings, whether it's for Portugal or definitely for AC Milan. He's had a fantastic year for them. So, like I said in the second leg, I believe that he's going to bring a lot of that intensity, pace. Dribbling, technicality, all that things. So I'm excited. He brings a lot to the team, and hopefully AC Milan can just put out a better performance with layout back on the field.
Yeah, and he's played in most of their domestic games this year with 32 matches played in Serie A. He has 12 goals, 7 assists in the league. When he's on the field, he looks like the best player on the field. He's super athletic. He's long. He's quick. Great acceleration. I mean, he's technical. He can do it all. So I think having him back, and hopefully he's at 100% or close to it, because I want to see that happen. Um, he is going to, again, we'll highlight him again and say that he is going to be the difference maker if he plays. It's really hard to keep him muted, even in a Milan derby. Also, he was linked with Chelsea this week, but who hasn't been linked with Chelsea? Do you have any predictions for the second leg? This game is on Tuesday, by the way. Tuesday, May 16th.
Yep, yep. I think that it'll be a. I'll go for the fun result. I'll go for a 3-2 AC Milan win, but Inter advancing on aggregate. That's what I want to see. Purely
Mm,
just what I want to see. So
that's tasty. Ah, I don't think that's gonna happen.
it's not.
This gets at my bet later, but I think it's gonna be a draw again. I say again as in I bet last week that it was going to be a draw and I was wrong. But I think this one will be a draw. Inter Milan knowing that they just need to match AC Milan basically. Um, the Inter Milan manager is really, really good. Getting him this far with that squad, they're not bad, but they're not to this level. So, um, yeah, I probably say a 1-1 draw would be fair. 2-2 if it needs to be, but
Ooh.
1-1. It'll be a
Yeah.
good game. It'll be a good game. The crowd's going to be into it, and I cannot wait to watch on Tuesday. Well, the other teams playing is Real Madrid, Man City. We already covered the first leg. It was 1-1. The second leg, Steve, is on Wednesday this week. It's in Manchester. Manchester City rested Grealish, Bernardo Silva, and Kevin De Bruyne in their Premier League game this weekend. So it looks like they're going to be fresh. They're going to be ready to go. Real Madrid also looks to be healthy with Camavinga getting hurt in the Champions League game last week and taking a knock this week in their game at the weekend, excuse me. But shakes it off. Carlo Ancelotti said he'll be ready to go. Both full squads. Both full squads. Do you want to say anything about this game, or you just want to get into the predictions?
I'm ready to go straight into predictions, honestly.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I think this game will go into extra time. I think we get a thrilling semifinal in Manchester, but I think City edges out Real Madrid. Probably final score 2-1. I have City going through over Real Madrid, and I'll give the late goal to Jack Grealish, to your Villa boy.
Yeah, I don't know. Actually, I think he's on the back of this jersey I'm wearing. I actually was going to say 2-1 as well to City. I think Holland will get a goal. And who knows? Gundogan sort of has the hot foot, if you will, right now, and he might come off the bench and get one if he doesn't start. But I think City will advance 2-1. Oh my god, it's so weird. I don't want to bet against Real Madrid, dude. They're so good. Well, anywho, 2-1. We'll leave it there. We agree at that. We never agree, do we? That's weird. But maybe we
No,
can
we
agree
really
on
don't.
maybe we can agree on this. We're gonna choose our best 11. We did this a couple weeks ago with Man City, Arsenal. Had some fun interactions there. We're gonna choose our best 11 from these two teams. Steve, we're starting off with the goalkeepers. Ederson versus Courtois. Who would you take in this?
I'm going to go with Courtois on this one. I don't think the difference is huge on this one, but I think there's a clear choice in Courtois. Been doing it longer, more trophies, European wise.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna go with Courtois.
I agree with you. Glad we didn't have to get into an argument there. At right back, we have Kyle Walker versus Carvajal. I'm saying Kyle Walker.
Ah man, this is hard for me.
Kyle
I'll
Walker's.
agree. I'll go with Kyle Walker today. Like as of today, I'm picking Walker over Carvajal. Carvajal's career has been incredible, but I think Walker has the edge in that speed.
Yeah, I think we could say that a lot for a lot of these players. Just like, is it their history? Is it their current form? Is it their versatility? Because a
Yeah,
lot of them are
yeah.
versatile. I think Kyle Walker just gives you a little bit more. But yeah, again, both great players. Switching over to left back, two untraditional left backs. Will we say a center back moved to left back and a midfielder moved to left back? Nathan Ake versus Kamavinga. This one's tough. This one's tough. Both having really good years. Um, I don't know, Steve. Who do you have?
I actually am more confident on this one than the last choice. I'm going Kamavinga. He was my man of the match last game, honestly.
Yeah, he was
The
great.
fact that he's been able to pick up this position and run with it, all the while still being creative in the midfield, coming in, defending, creating, I think he is flying with this position. So that's what I'm going to give. In the 3 months that he's played left back, I'm taking Kamavinga at left back.
Yeah, I think actually I'll agree with you. He was absolutely amazing last leg. The fact that he's so young, but he's like done it all
Yeah.
already. He's gonna be a fun one to watch. Just watch his career grow. Moving on to center backs, we can only choose two. I should have said this. We're going with a 4-3-3 formation, obviously, like we did last time. But two center backs here. We have Ruben Diaz, Akanji, Laporte, John Stones, David Alaba, and Tony Rudiger. This is very, very difficult. I think. Oh man, I think. Oh, well, on this season though, man, John Stones has been so good, and I feel like I wouldn't want to leave him out, but I think I would take the Real Madrid's pair. I think over Manchester City center
Really?
backs. I think I would. I think I would.
Am I allowed to mix and match?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'll go Alaba and Stones. I'm leaving Rudiger out.
Really? Okay. Mm, we'll just disagree
But
on
hey,
that one. Um,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
but that moves us into the midfield. This is actually this one might be easiest. Kevin De Bruyne, Rodri, Gundogan, Modric, Cruz, Valverde. Can I just say the three?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, De Bruyne, Modric, Cruz.
Yeah.
Oh no! Why'd you hesitate?
No, I was thinking, I had you with De Bruyne and Modric, and then I was thinking Cruz, and I was like, yeah,
I mean, Valverde's a great player, young. Gonna. I don't know how young he is anymore, but gonna continue his career and be absolutely amazing. Same with Rodri. I mean, these are the best players in the world that we're talking about here. We're splitting hairs, I think,
yeah.
depending on if you want to go with a veteran or a younger player. But De Bruyne, Modric, Cruz in a midfield. Could you imagine? That is heaven on earth. Left wing. This is probably the easiest one. A top three player in the world versus one of the most expensive players in English history. Jack Grealish versus Vinny Jr. Obviously, I'm Vinny Jr. There's no stopping this guy,
Amazing.
is there?
No, I'm proud of you for a second there. I thought you're a very objective person. I was like, he's
I
not about
try
to
to
say
be.
Jack Grealish, is he? I was like, oh no, this is about to be bad. No, Vinny's the man. He's absolutely sensational. 100% agree with you.
Yeah, I did. I'm not going to embarrass myself on live television like this. Are you kidding me? We'll move over to the right wing. We have Mares Bernardo versus Rodrigo. Sort of difficult. This is like, who do you like more? None of these really, really jump off the page. Like, I, personally, I'm taking Bernardo. But if you want like a traditional
Yeah,
winger, you're gonna like Mares more, right? But Rodrigo gives you a lot. Like he's very, very versatile. So
no, that's what I was debating on, and that's why I'm going to go with Mares. Talking about that traditional winger. I mean, Bernardo's fantastic, but he plays in the middle sometimes. Whenever I'm going traditional right winger, I think I'm going Mares. He's in his golden years of his career right now, and I think that benefits him. And he doesn't look like he's missed a beat. I'm going Mares for creating that goal in the final third.
yeah, good choice. Good choice. Now the hardest maybe to choose. Ballon d'Or, probably the Ballon d'Or winner this year versus the Ballon d'Or winner of last year. Holland versus Kareem Benzema. Steve, I want to hear your take on this because I know you love both of these players.
I do, and this is going to be probably maybe the hottest take. I don't know. Given the year that Holland's had, I'm gonna go with Benzema. This is something that I think history matters. The amount of Champions Leagues that Benzema has won, he's done it all. He's won the titles. He's won the Champions Leagues. I mean, he has. Was he on the France World Cup roster when they won? He wasn't.
Mm, I can't remember if he
He
was
was.
left
He
off
was
or
not.
not.
He wasn't. He wasn't. That's when he had his tiff with that coach. But anyways, um, this guy's class. He's pure class. He knows exactly what his role is in the field. And Real Madrid, you kind of got this older brother versus younger brother in this matchup already. And I think this is a prime example of it up at the striker position. Holland is absolutely phenomenal. He's pure class. But you saw it in that first leg. Champions League's difficult, and when you're up against the best of the best, can you rise to the top? And that remains to be seen. In this semifinal, in the second leg, I think Holland does get a goal, but I I like Benzema more. If I'm in a must-win game today,
Yeah.
I think I'm still choosing Benzema up top, which is pretty crazy. But
I don't
and
think
I
so.
know
I
the
think
stats
you
don't back that up this season, but I that's what I'm going with.
no, I think you outlined that perfectly. That's my argument too. I think Holland against any other striker in the world, you're taking Holland. Against Benzema really makes you think. I think you have to take Benzema. Thanks for indulging on that a little bit, Steve. We're going to jump into our Premier League review now. I titled this section, The Premier League Title is Finished. Do you think it's finished, Steve?
The nail is in the coffin, and the cannons are sinking.
Yeah. We'll highlight the Man City game first. Everton at home against Manchester City. You bet this game to be a draw. No, what'd you bet? A draw? Yeah, a draw
I
last
did.
week. And actually, Everton were looking very good against the league leaders, but you break the ice, and that's it. Gundogan scored an amazing goal in the 37th minute. Please go watch that if you have not seen it already, off of a Mahrez assist. Holland scored in the 39th minute, just 2 minutes later. He's on 36 goals now in the Premier League, people. 36. We're on our count to 40. I think he might hit it still. We'll see. Off of a Gundogan assist, of course, and then Gundogan in the 51st minute, right after half, with another goal. Free kick, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Pretty sure. Gundogan. Let's take a moment here. Gundogan was Pep's first signing at Manchester City. I don't know if you knew that, but that's the truth. And he's an absolute baller, taking him from Dortmund, I believe. What do you have to say about this guy, Steve? I mean, he just does it year in, year out, just quietly. What do you have to say?
Yeah, I mean, he had double-digit goals last year for City during the Premier League campaign. I think he had like 13 or 14. Uh, he's class. He steps into the role which you ask him to. He can play holding. He can play defense. But he's been the past couple seasons. He's been so creative in an attacking threat in a team that is already stacked. But he's never the guy that's going to be the loudest voice out on the field scoring the goals. He's humble. He's a Pep's dream. Like you said, it's his first signing. He knew what he was doing when he signed him from Dortmund. It's a player that I might murder somebody to have on Tottenham.
Well, you might get him because I don't think he's going to be coming back, him or Bernardo Silva. So that'll be interesting to see them leave Manchester City at the end of the season. But yeah, this guy, I mean, 44 goals in his Manchester City career, 16 assists. So yeah, he's a little bit of a goal scorer for them, believe it or not. He's played in 187 matches for them. It's a pretty big number there. Started 137 of those. So Pep obviously trusts him to get the job done, especially at the end of the season. Someone who's been around that Pep system, knows how to win, get things over the line. Gundogan is the shining example of that. Great on him. I probably should have given him the golden scarf for the week that he had, but he's just having a great end to the season. And like I said, Everton did play really well, but you know who didn't play really well, Steve? Arsenal, the Gooners. They lost 3-0 to Brighton. Brighton won through 3 second-half goals from Enciso in the 51st minute, Undav's chip over Ramsdale in the 86th minute, and Estupinan's goal in the 96th minute to cap it all off. Steve, was this Arsenal's worst performance of the year?
Probably, uh, given the time that it happens at here at the end of the season, it kind of gives you that sad exclamation mark of Hey, you didn't win. This is it. And it wasn't a close. It was 3-0 and it was bad. I mean, you can't really fault them. I mean, you can. You absolutely can. But this is just goes to show the title was lost in the Manchester City game.
Yeah, yeah, I
I
completely
mean, they,
agree.
they
I
yeah, that's all I got.
I think the Manchester City, and I went in on them after that game. So sorry, Arsenal fans, but the Manchester City game was their worst performance of the year by far. They actually created some chances in this game, didn't score obviously, but were up for it in the first half. It felt like second half they looked like they played. Like it looked like a copy and paste of the Manchester City game. They couldn't touch Brighton. Brighton were just playing all around them, and probably pretty lucky it was only 3-0 at the very end of the day. But yeah, it was just sad to see them whimper out of the Premier League title race. We were sort of saying they were hanging on by a thread. They still had a chance. I know you didn't believe that, but I was trying to throw some optimism in there. But no, they threw it all away after this result and basically gave Man City the title, unless something crazy happens. But
Mm.
it's pretty much done. You know, there's been a lot of talk of Arsenal bottling it. Leave all those jokes and jabs aside, you Spurs fans. But do you or do you not think they actually choked the league?
So this is actually tricky. I mean, objectively, you have to say yes, sure. Like they were one place and now they're not.
Mm-hmm.
But who else has beaten Manchester City in the past 5 years in the Premier League? One team. It's Liverpool.
And Spurs.
That's it. Well, I'm saying for the title to win the
Yeah, yeah,
title,
you're
but
right.
yeah, which God knows Spurs aren't doing that. But it's kind of one of those things like, okay, if not us, then you do it. I mean, Manchester City is without any other language, is just dominating competition. And Liverpool had a great side, and they won it in 2019, 2020. But other than that, since 2017, the 2017-2018 season, it's been Manchester City, and that's it. So you kind of almost expected this to happen. So you can still call it a choke, but I think in the realm of sports talk, when you think of a choke, it's like this is the favorite. They should have. It's Manchester City, dude, and they went on an absolute tear. They have an absolute phenomenal team. They have the best coach, arguably, in the world, top three, top two. So I mean, kudos to Mikel Arteta. I mean, again, Arsenal finished under Spurs last year. To finish second in the Premier League is absolutely amazing. But if you're gonna make me say it, then sure they choked it. But I think that's a bad sports take to harp on. I don't know if you have a different opinion though.
I don't know. I think I'm on the fence a little bit about this one. You know, we talk about their season coming down to that Manchester City game. By the way, they lost to Manchester City in a collective 7-2 this year, um, which is not good, especially when they're your rival for the title. But it didn't have to come down to that game. Remember, the games leading up to that were three consecutive draws against Liverpool
Yeah,
away,
yeah.
which is a good point. Which we said that's a good point. You'll never be mad about that at Anfield. Then they go and draw against West Ham, which West Ham came from behind 2-0 to get that point. So they stole a point from Arsenal. If you're going for a title, you have to put the game away. You have to see it out. Southampton, different story. Arsenal had to score two last-minute goals to save their season against Southampton, who just got relegated. So I think
That's the
I th-
game there.
right. It is. It is. And I think I just I think a lot of it comes down to Arteta. I don't know the stats on how much he rotates his squad, but it doesn't seem like it's a lot. And I know people have said, "Oh, Saliba's the biggest miss and all this." You don't have somebody else ready to step up in that position. Why do you think Pep rotates his squad so much? One, to keep them fresh, because obviously Arsenal's running out of gas. But that became obvious against this Brighton squad. Um, they've run out of gas,
But
and
they don't have the
go ahead.
funds that Manchester City does, though. Is the argument, right? They don't have a Phil Foden to sub on. I mean, they have a deep squad, but
Yeah, but I think it's more of the system. Like he doesn't. It's clear that Arteta doesn't trust players to play in his system, so he's getting the most out of his starters. And come the last 5 games of the season, they're gassed. They competed well against Newcastle, but that game could have tipped either way. They play against a Brighton squad who's one of the best in the league and absolutely get demolished. So Arteta has to take a lot of blame for the way he's set up this Arsenal team, the 2 biggest games of the year against this Brighton team and Man City. Um, Not getting the guys to see out games. I know that's, players have to share responsibility, but Arteta, you got to take a hard look at this, man, and figure out how to not do this next year. Because if you're in that position again, you're gonna probably lose your job. I don't know. It's hard to call it a choke because Manchester City is so good, but it didn't have to be this way. They dropped points where they
yeah.
didn't need to, especially when you're going for a title. And so it really, I think I lean that they did bottle it. They threw it away. But I think they'll be happy, won't they?
I mean, maybe I don't know if they will be happy. I actually didn't watch the post game press conference with Arteta. I didn't see it, but I don't know. I don't know what the feeling is in the Arsenal camp. Arsenal fans, if you're out there watching, let us know in the comments. If I mean, been there, Spurs fan here. Been there in first place, or not? Actually, not. We weren't in first place, but we were right there in the title chase. But we ended up finishing in second, and it sucks.
Yeah.
Except y'all
They
have more
say,
titles than we do. I'll say it. But anyways,
yeah. They say second's just the first to lose. So tough there. I did see something today that had me thinking, and I do want to get your thoughts on this. Um, in this realistic hypothetical, okay, and I say realistic because it could happen. Who has the better season? Arsenal finishing in second, getting knocked out of the Europa League, was it? And not playing for any titles. But getting a Champions League spot, taking Man City to the last 5 games of the season, finishing in second, no trophies, no nothing. Or Manchester United finishing fourth with a Carabao Cup trophy and a FA Cup final. Not even a trophy, just making the FA Cup final. Who who do you think had the better
just
season?
just just making the final.
Just making the final against Manchester City.
I don't know, man, because Arsenal did this, right? They were Manchester United not too long ago, where they won the FA Cup with Arteta.
Yeah, they sort of did flip places a little bit, didn't they?
They did a little bit. I think Arsenal has the better season given the outlook on the future. I mean, there's just so much to build on here for this Arsenal squad. Their players are so young. They got the Champions League. I mean, they finished above Spurs for the first time in what 4 years. And so they have a lot of momentum going, and I think Arsenal is going to be happy with their season, finishing in second, being right there in the title race, and I think they're going to splash cash this summer. So I guess I'll go with Arsenal, just because
Mm,
they recently, whew, well, earthquake there, just because they recently won the FA Cup. If they wouldn't have recently won that FA Cup, I think my answer might have been different.
mm. That's interesting. I know I set it up to seem like Manchester United had the better season, and I think they did. It again, finishing second doesn't do anything. You'll 5 years down the road, you won't even remember that they finished second. Um, so the fact that Manchester United has something in their trophy cabinet to say that year we won
But
that, and they could still win an FA Cup. So it's like
true.
I
But does it matter though with teams like Arsenal and Manchester United, these teams that have won many trophies? It's like You're not talking about, again, not to shit on my own team, Tottenham or a Brighton winning a Carabao, right? It's Arsenal. It's like this is the Invincibles. Like this is a team that demands. I mean, do they give a shit about the Carabao Cup and
I
appearing
think
in a
so.
final? I mean, maybe, probably, but
I mean, I think all the
I
teams
mean,
do. That's why Pep goes for it every year. That's why Chelsea tries to win a trophy every year.
fair
I
point.
mean, that's why Arsenal tries to win a trophy every year. Spurs don't really, but like
Do you
I
Do you think that Arsenal altered their playing style throughout the season, though? Like bowing out of those other competitions, do you think that had to do with them driving for the title and just now falling short?
yeah, that's a good thought. I think, um,
Like, did they just
I
go all
definitely,
in
definitely,
and just lose it?
definitely, and I think that makes it even sadder that they choked it. Like that's more to my point of them bottling it, and it's sad. It's sort of sad because it's like, dang, they really don't have anything to walk away other than like that they gave it a go and made themselves feel good for getting in second. I mean, I,
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think? What do you think? Like, do you think that's a good thing? If it was my team, I guess I would say that's amazing. I'm glad we did that. I'm glad we did that. But to everybody else who doesn't care about your club as much as you do, no one's going to look and say, nice, good job, Arsenal, for finishing second in 2 years. No one's going to care.
I
So,
mean, I mean, 2 years, yeah, but I think again, my last thing I'll say is to go back to when they won the FA Cup. No one gave a damn when they won that FA Cup. Arteta was on the hot seat that year, and he won a trophy.
yeah.
So I think to me, like looking at Arsenal, like winning a trophy, that it's like, oh yeah, you and all the media around Arsenal when they won that trophy was, yeah, Arteta got the trophy, but he's not the man for the job, this, that, and the other. It's like I don't know. I mean, winning titles, like league titles, is so insane, and they fell up short. Like they lost. They did not win the Premier League this year. They fell up short. They bottled it. All those things. But I think if they had the chance to go back and do it again, they would risk it on themselves.
Yeah, I think they do the same thing again. And again, like I said, if it was my club, I would want them to do that every year. I wouldn't care about a
Yeah.
trophy. A Premier League title's more important than winning a Carabao Cup or an FA Cup. To me, I speak for myself,
Looking
but
at you, Leicester, seeing the
yeah,
championship.
see you in the championship. We'll get into that. But the race for Europe is very tight, isn't it, Steve? Manchester United beat Wolves 2-0. Liverpool beat Leicester today 3-0. Jeez. Newcastle, the most surprising result of the weekend. Newcastle drawing against Leeds 2-2. Steve, this Liverpool team that we've talked about being so bad all year and inconsistent, which they have been, they've deserved that, are sort of sneaking into a Champions League spot. I still don't think they can do it. Do you think they can?
I mean, they're going for, I believe, their eighth win in a row. I'm not talking about 8 matches, no losses. I'm talking 8 wins in a row. I think they can do it. I mean, why not?
Mm.
I mean,
I'll
all
tell
Manchester
I'll
United
tell
has to
you
do
why.
is to bottle one game. One game.
No. Newcastle and Manchester United still have 3 games to play. That means they're playing for 9 points. Liverpool is only playing for 6 with 2 games to go. Um, Newcastle and Man U would have to bottle 2 games for Liverpool to get a Champions League spot. I just do not see that happening. And especially for my Aston Villa, Villa's going to beat them this weekend. So they're definitely not getting a Champions League spot. But, I mean, think about it, Steve. Do you think Manchester United is going to lose and draw to Bournemouth, Chelsea, or Fulham?
Sure. I mean, probably not, but I think it's naive to say that there's not a chance that it could happen. I mean, we've seen Bournemouth take down the big and mighty Tottenham. I mean, Bournemouth is a team that can score goals. Chelsea's a team that is terrible and will probably lose. But honestly, I'm more confident in Fulham than I am in Chelsea. But
Yeah.
you just don't know with these guys. Like Bournemouth and Fulham are sneaky teams.
Hmm,
And
fair. Okay, what
so,
about
I mean,
Newcastle?
United should win.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they should. But what about Newcastle? They play Brighton, Leicester, Chelsea. You think they'll lose and draw one of those games?
Brighton, Leicester, Chelsea. I mean, we just talked about Leeds tying Newcastle. I mean, I think there's something special about the end, specifically the last four fixtures of a Premier League season, that it's different than a game in November, than a game in September or January, whatever it is. It's These are teams fighting for their
Definitely.
lives. You just got done talking about how Arsenal the entire year was the most consistent team, like we've been saying. Not the end of the stretch, like you said, they ran out of gas. So I mean, it all comes down to these are the most important performances that these players will be having, and it's the difference of United playing on a Tuesday and Wednesday or playing on Thursday in Europa League. So, which who knows? It's a
Hmm.
Maguire mistake. It's a Rashford miss. I don't. I mean, who knows? Again, the probability is that Newcastle and United will be in the Champions League. Yes, but when you have a coach like Jurgen Klopp going for his eighth win in a row, there's no doubt in my mind that those players in that locker room believe, like, hey, let's just keep winning.
Yeah.
Why can't we
Yeah.
win 11 games in a row to finish out the season? F everybody else in who they're playing. We don't care. If we win out, we believe we'll finish in fourth.
Yeah. And at this point, they could finish in third. I mean, if Newcastle and Man United drop points the way I guess that they could, um, it's interesting. I think there's not. I think the chance is more than slim. I'm not saying it's impossible or slim. Like I think there's a
Mm-hmm.
decent chance Liverpool could do that, and Man United or Newcastle could drop enough points for Liverpool to get in there. Um, it would just go against what I have thought of the season this far. I don't know if that's a weird thing that I have in my mind, but this Liverpool team, again, it's good when they're healthy and they're getting back to fitness here at the end of the season. Like we've mentioned in the past, Jurgen Klopp is a better coach out of those two coaches that they're going up against in those their last two games, and also for the Champions League. So they could do it. They could do it. Like we mentioned, Brighton beat Arsenal. Do you feel like Brighton has cemented a European spot, at least the Conference League? I think I said it last week. I think they're in a Europa League. That's their spot, and it's going to be Villa and Spurs fighting it out for Europa Conference.
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking Europe as a whole, yes, they have cemented. We like big cement analogies here. Man
Mm-hmm.
United and Newcastle find themselves in wet cement when we're talking Champions League. But yeah, Brighton is definitely in Europe. They're going to be playing in the midweek, and it's going to be awesome. But I'm still hesitant on that sixth spot for
Hmm.
whatever reason. I don't know why. I think they'll get it. I'm more confident in Brighton finishing in sixth than I am in Newcastle and Manchester United finishing at third and fourth.
Mm. Interesting. Brighton, I'll just list out their fixtures. They play Newcastle, which I just said, but Newcastle, Southampton, who's just relegated, that's a win. Manchester City and Aston
City.
Villa to
Ah.
end the season. Which, again, that Aston Villa game, Aston Villa could still be fighting for Europe in the last day. Um, it's that's a tough little run in. I mean, Southampton's not, but those other three games, like that's difficult. That's difficult.
I just think Brighton's better than Newcastle right now. I think they're better than Newcastle, better than Southampton. By the time they get to City, who knows where that'll line up with the FA Cup? I don't know.
I don't
Brighton
think
look
Brighton are
good,
better than
dude.
Newcastle. They look great. They look
You don't think
phenomenal.
so?
But I don't think Brighton is are better than Newcastle. Newcastle are so good. Getting results, like they just don't lose games. I don't know how, but they just don't lose games. Like Arsenal, the loss to
Yeah,
Arsenal is
that
like
might be.
one of
Yeah.
like five losses this season or something. Like they just don't do it. I it'll be interesting to see, and I think that game's in the midweek, if I'm not mistaken, Brighton Newcastle. But
Yeah, it's like a replay or
um,
something.
so whenever that game is, that's going to be an amazing watch. So make sure you tune in. Um, let's talk about the Villa Spurs game real quick, and we'll move through it relatively quickly. This was the supporter section derby match. Obviously, I'm a Villa fan. Cole and Steve are Spurs fans. Jacob Ramsey got the scoring started in the 8th minute, and the next goal wasn't until the 72nd minute from a Douglas Luiz free kick. Kane did get his trademark penalty in the 90th minute, um, but the game ended 2-1 to Villa, like I think we thought it would. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I mean, I predicted this outcome.
Yeah. And I think the scoreline does flatter the Spurs here. Steve, how do you feel like the game went?
Oh, I mean, guess what Tottenham did? They gave up a goal in the first 10 minutes of the game. Right? So it's again, it's the same thing we've been talking about the whole season, so I'm not going to exhaust my breath. But no, I mean, Tottenham just looked like they were enough for it. Villa, I think that first goal says it perfectly. Is Ramsey just cutting in, just getting in front of a Spurs defender and just finishing off a like it was a good pass by Leon Bailey for sure, but it's just lack of urgency by Tottenham defenders, and then just the rest of the game as it drags out. Lazy runs by Son, being offsides 3 times and missing a lot of those chances. At the end of the game, he was offsides by a mile and he scores, but it was
Yeah,
and Kane gets his penalty like you said, and it was a penalty at 100%. But
it was.
again, even Kane like 100% penalty, but even Kane had opportunity where Tottenham actually won a ball, maybe like the only ball of the entire match. We won a ball off Villa in their half, took it. Kane has a chance, it just doesn't finish it. It's not falling for Tottenham. Kulusevski has a chance, he puts it wide. It's just this Tottenham team. It feels like you're trying to turn these cogs that are not like oiled, and they're just grinding up against each other, and you're just getting this awful screeching sound, which is what you're watching on the field. It's just bad. And if it's not Richarlison offsides 5 times, taking a shirt off this year, then it's Son hitting the post. It's anyways. I said I was going to be long-winded, so I'm going to stop there. But yeah, it doesn't look good for Spurs. All credit to Villa though. Villa looked fantastic. They looked creative. They looked dangerous. And one more point that I wanted to make on Christian Romero, you're on my shit list. Your whole World Cup, cool, but are you a 70 million euro pound whatever defender? No, no, you're not. You're not playing like it, and you haven't been for the past 2 months. He has
Mm.
had good form, maybe for a stretch of a few games this year. Giving away that free kick to Douglas Luiz to Villa and to Douglas Luiz to finish. I mean, it was a beautiful free kick. It was awesome, but it's you are the sole person responsible. So it's a goal in the first 10 minutes you give up, and giving free kicks up at the edge of the box. Like, what the hell are you doing? So it's just Tottenham beating themselves. But when you go up against a good team like Villa, like they're gonna make you pay. You can't get away with that. And so that was just case in point, and that's why I'm not confident on Spurs. But anyways,
Yeah.
I
I, w-
digress. I digress.
I was going to ask you on your confidence of Spurs, but I sort of get the idea. I mean, look, like I said, I think it's going to come down to us for that 7th place spot. Um, do you
Take
have
it.
confidence? I mean, that's sort of what I'm saying. Do you have confidence in Spurs making that 7th? I mean, I think you still think they might get 6th. Is that what you were sort of saying earlier? Like, where do you think Spurs can end up? The run in is Villa. They play Liverpool, like we said, and then Brighton on the last day. Tottenham play Brentford and Leeds, easier than Liverpool and Brighton, obviously. I mean, that's looking at it. That's some confidence, but I,
I'll give you a hint where my confidence is at. I'm hoping West Ham beat Leeds and that they get relegated somehow this next week, so we don't have to play Leeds while they're fighting to stay in the Premier League on that last match week. Like I literally don't have confidence in this team. I think we're going to go out and lose to Brentford at home. They've given no reason why I should think anything else. I mean, losing to Bournemouth the way we have, anyways. I think Tottenham really have a possibility of finishing eighth.
Mm,
I mean,
yeah.
it's a real possibility. And if they don't think it's a real possibility, then that's all that much more problem at the club. I hope that they understand what's facing ahead of them, and that
Mm,
this Villa game, if we would have beaten Villa, even if it was ugly, if we would have beaten Villa, the tune would be very different. But we lost to Villa, and in the manner in which we lost to Villa, inspired no confidence throughout the rest of the season. So I'm not going to give them any.
yeah. Yeah. And it's sort of hard to have confidence in Ryan Mason. Let's be honest. I think he's a great guy, been around the club for a while. This is the head coach of Spurs, by the way. It, he you can't let him drive the car, man. He has to stay in the passenger seat or in the back or in the trunk. Like it's I think he's a great guy, but if this club wants to reach Europe, like that's you got to fill that position with
Maybe don't spend a
somebody. And
hundred million pounds on managers within the past 3 years.
I think that's a completely fair point. That goes up to Daniel Levy. Um, we'll see if there's any changes at Tottenham come summer. I doubt it, but that next manager decision is going to be a big one, and maybe a hard reset in eighth might be good for you, and that's sort of what I hope. I also think I preseason predicted Aston Villa to finish in seventh. My wild predictions this year, I'm telling you. So I hope that
I
comes
got a
true.
manager. I got a manager for Spurs next year.
Where did you get that?
My little bag of tricks. God help us. Save us, Gareth Bale. You're our only hope. Come out of retirement.
Oh my god, I don't think that's gonna happen. But who knows? Crazier things have happened, and that would be a very Spursy choice, would it not?
It
There
would.
were
It
no
would.
changes at the bottom of the table this week. Palace beat Bournemouth. West Ham lost to Brentford. Nottingham Forest drew to Chelsea 2-2. Awanyi, two great goals again. That's 4 goals in 2 weeks.
God, yeah.
We said that it might these bottom teams that are fighting this relegation line, they might only need 4 points in the last 4 weeks to stay up. Forest has its 4 points, Steve. Are they safe?
No, I can't say they're safe,
Oof.
right? I mean, I think they are, but they're not mathematically, right? You never know. But
No.
if I was a betting man, I would choose them to be safe. I think Awangi scoring goals like he is. This team looks. They look like they're up for the snuff for these next couple games.
Yeah. I think they will be, and they would do something that hasn't been done in a while in the Premier League, which is all three promoted teams stay up. So that would be
Wow.
absolutely amazing. And at the same time, they would be pushing some giants down. Like we mentioned, after a decent first half from Everton, they did lose 3-0 to City. And our first relegated team, Southampton, officially relegated themselves with a 2-0 loss to Fulham. Steve, who on this roster is leaving in the summer?
I mean, brightest guy on the field, James Ward-Prowse, right? Like God, again, Tottenham, please buy this man.
Somebody.
Like
I
this,
have a weird
this,
feeling
this
it's
is a
going to be
guy that
Manchester
can
City.
fit in anywhere. God, I
Yeah.
hope not. I hope it's not Manchester City. But yeah, this guy has the talent, I literally think, to play on any team in the Premier League.
Yeah.
Maybe not start at the top with City, but I mean, he can start at Tottenham for sure.
Yeah. He would play at Villa. I don't know if he would start, but he could. It just he's a great depth piece for the top six if he's not going to be a starter, and anywhere in the top half of the table is where I believe he should go. So he's definitely gone. Anybody else? I mean, they have that German. I
I
think he's a
mean,
German defender. He's pretty good, but he's young.
I think that's the only clear cut obvious choice. That's when you start to get into the dangers of being in the championship, paying Premier League salaries to a team that's in the championship. You hope you can offload those Kyle Walker Peters or more. Maybe that's a guy that stays. I don't know,
That's
but
probably that might be another guy that goes to a Premier League team. He's decent.
Who's to say? I
Mm,
don't envy their situation.
yeah, neither do I. But they did, they invested in the youth. It didn't work out for them, and I think what really got them was their manager choices this year, firing Hausenhudel for shoot, what was that middle manager's name? I don't know, and then firing him like a couple games later, whatever that
Yeah.
was, and now they had this
Should
caretaker
have brought in
manager.
Jesse Marsh.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Probably would have done better. I don't know. But yeah. Do you think they have enough to bounce back up like immediately? I think they do, but I'm really interested to see who goes and leaves in the summer. Like it depends who their manager is. You have to have a good manager to get out of the championship.
Yeah, I think when you start to predict what the championship will be next year off of a Premier League team getting relegated, I'm way more confident in predicting championship teams coming up than a Premier League team rebounding because there's just so
Hmm.
much uncertainty. There's so much uncertainty. The loss of revenue, and I
And
think it's
playing a lot more
even just like
games.
100 million pounds. Yeah, you're playing a lot more games. It's just so much more uncertainties going in with the team going down as opposed to teams building momentum and coming up. So I'm not even going to speak to that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think they might be down for a little while.
Yeah. I hope they bounce up for our friend Robbie, but yeah, they might be stuck down there for a season or two, depending on their manager choice. That's what I'm saying. I don't think they'll stick with the guy they have
Mm-hmm.
now, but we'll see. Is the most surprising result of the weekend that Leeds Newcastle draw 2-2, Steve?
100%, absolutely. Championship player Luke Ayling with his goal. I was like, okay, this something's going on this game. No,
Yeah.
it was a huge surprise and a massive result for Leeds to keep that pressure on Everton.
Yeah, I mean, it has to give them a lot of confidence. This game was weird. 3 penalties given, one missed, two made, both by Callum Wilson. Um, Leeds has to take confidence from this game. They have their draw. They need a win. Like if we're going off of that, 4 points will save you. At this point, I don't know if it will, but the last two games of the season, they play West Ham and Tottenham. Those are games where you can get points. Those are
Oh
games where you
yeah,
get points. But we look at Everton, who beat Brighton 5-1. Let's not forget. Yeah, they lost to City. Everybody loses to City, but they have Wolves and Bournemouth. Again, favorable matchups for both of these teams going into the last two games of the season. It, let's put that on pause, and we'll come back to those two. Um, Leicester lost 3-0 to Liverpool. I have to feel that they're doomed now. I have to feel that way.
Trey Trey Powers turn the stream off now. Yeah, Leicester, they're going down. It's such a sad sight to see after that amazing title run, but I think they're all but done.
Yeah, me too. Their defenders are just absolutely awful. Their midfielders, as creative as they can be, just are not clicking, and their front line is non-existent. They're so
What
bad. Um,
But if they get a draw against Newcastle, I mean, do we?
they're not going to. Newcastle are better than
You know,
Liverpool.
yeah,
They're not going to. I mean, they can get something against West Ham, but that means Everton and Leeds would have to lose all of their games or something or draw. And I don't know. I mean, it could work if they get a win on the last day and Leeds and Everton haven't gotten either of them haven't gotten their points to stay up yet. Maybe, but that I think they're gone. But that's why I said that and put it in this order because I think it's Southampton's obviously gone. Leicester, if we can agree that they're gone, they do have a slim chance, but basically gone. Leeds and Everton, it's coming down to them in my mind. I think Nottingham Forest are safe. You don't, that's okay. We can throw Nottingham Forest in this list, but yeah, Leeds is on 31 points and 18th currently. Everton's on 32 and 17th. Only one goal differentiating these two teams. And then Nottingham Forest is on 34 points. Who is it, Steve? I mean, who? It's a flip of a coin between these two clubs, isn't it? Neither of them want to go down. We already have Leicester City, who's you know did one of the most amazing things in sports history a couple years back. Like they're going down. Leeds United only after was it 3 seasons up in the Premier League. Giants going back down. Everton never been relegated. Are they gonna go down? I mean, I don't know who I believe in more. It's Sean Dyche versus Sam Allardyce. It's a weird world we live in, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it is a strange world. I'm putting my money on Big Sean Dyche. We're a Sean Dyche podcast, so that's who I'm going with. I'm not even going to attempt to say Big Sam's name after I butchered it last week, but I'm going Sean Dyche with the Toffees.
Yeah, I think so too. Again, I think they have the more favorable matchup versus Leeds, but it's going to come down to the last day. It is for a lot of these places, but yeah, Southampton, Leicester, and Leeds. See ya. Match week 37, is it? Yeah, 37 preview. Wow, we are almost there, people. Liverpool versus Aston Villa. This is the game of the week. Um, if Villa win, they could ascend into a European place over Spurs and maybe solidify that. That would be amazing. And obviously put the pressure on Brighton for sixth place. But on the flip side, Liverpool are looking to win their eighth straight, like Steve said earlier in the pod, and they're trying to get in that Champions League spot. So, um, what are your thoughts? Let's get the predictions out of the way for this. I mean, I think Aston Villa will beat them. I have to think that. That's definitely my bias. But this is going to be it's going to be a challenge for Villa. Liverpool is one of those teams that matches them all over the field, and tactically as well. Like, just it's going to be very, very difficult. I hope it's fun. The last result was 3-1. Liverpool won. I think it was like Boxing Day, I want to say, and it the scoreline flattered Liverpool. We went back and forth. It was really, really fun game. I think we're going to get something similar, maybe more muted from Villa, looking for more of a counter in the game. But I'm going to say Villa 1-0. I think it's going to be really, really close. They need to.
I love that Villa goal, but I think it'll be met by a Liverpool goal. I think it's going to be a 1-1 draw.
Mm. I'll take that. I'll take that, honestly. Your side, Tottenham take on Brentford. Like we said, Tottenham was not at the races against Villa at all. What are your feelings in this game?
I mean, I feel like I've been shouting them the whole pod. I think we're going to lose. I think a Tottenham draw is fun. Maybe. No, I'm probably won't even watch the game, honestly. That's kind of where I'm at with this team.
Mm,
So
okay.
I think it'll be a Brentford win, honestly, at home versus Tottenham, or Tottenham hosting Brentford. I think we'll lose at home. Sorry, tripping up
Yeah,
my
yeah,
words
yeah.
there. But
I
I think
got
I
you.
think it'll be ugly. I think it'll be ugly.
I don't know. Tottenham, they looked decent when it was that 1-0 win. Was it last week? Two
Not
weeks ago?
even though. Yeah.
Anywho, knowing that you can get a result at home definitely plays a role. I don't know. I don't know. It's so high. This screams draw to me. Um, but if Brentford was at home, I'd say Brentford 100%. But I don't know. I know you don't have much hope for the Spurs, but I'll give you a little bit of hope, saying you could get something at home. But I think it'll be a draw. Man City played Chelsea. Probably going to be a Manchester City win. But you never know. This Chelsea team can turn up if they need to or want to, or I don't know. They're probably not going to score a goal. Let's be completely honest. And then Wolves play Everton. Everton getting a draw here or a win would be absolutely huge. Like we said a couple minutes ago, Massive game for the Toffees there. But we look around the world to the championship playoffs. Steve, you want to cover the Sunderland game?
Absolutely. Sunderland AFC, my boys from the Netflix documentary, The Movie Stars. Yes, they actually win at home this first leg, 2-1 versus Luton Town. Absolutely. Well, I'm getting too excited. I'm starting with the Sunderland goals. The scoring got started in the 11th minute with Sunderland not defending a corner kick that well. Multiple headers in the box, corner, it's pinballing, and then Elijah
Adebayo.
Adebayo scored off the uncleared corner. Points up to the fans up to the top of the away section that were visiting in the northern part of the UK. But then Man United loanee Amad Diallo scored on a beautiful free kick laid off by Pritchard. Goalie didn't have a chance. It was just absolute pure class. Top bins, as they say. It was beautiful. It's the kind of thing that makes Ten Hag raise an eyebrow this summer and try to figure out, well, maybe we don't loan this guy out. Um, yeah, Sunderland are actually able to get their second goal in the 63rd minute. It was the second goal of the game. It was the second goal of the year by the player. I'm trying to remember the guy who scored. But anyways, they scored 63rd minute to put the game to bed. Now they go away to Luton Town on Tuesday, May 16th in the second leg, which will be when I believe this episode's getting aired out. Um, but yeah, so Sunderland taking some momentum into Luton Town after going 1-0 down. They get 2 goals to the good, looking to get promoted in back to back seasons.
It would be. Yeah.
Yes. So that would be absolutely wild. Rooting for them.
Yeah.
Let's go.
We're rooting for them. I think our predictions are going to come true. Coventry at home versus Middlesbrough. The game ended a 0-0 draw. Middlesbrough actually had the much better game on the day, but couldn't really show anything for it. But they do take it back to their place in the second leg. Surely Akpom or Cam Archer is going to score to push Middlesbrough through. I'm probably expecting another clean sheet from Middlesbrough, knowing that they probably only need one goal to get to the final. And then at that point, we'd have Middlesbrough and Sunderland like we predicted, and that would be amazing. So we're hoping for that here on the supporter section, but you never really know what's going to happen. Tune in to those games in the midweek. They're going to be a lot of fun. Steve, you want to run through the MLS Fast Five?
Yes, let's recap this match week 11 review. Really bad job that we did on these predictions. But New York Red Bulls ended up beating NYCFC. That's going to be one Brandon got right. He predicted 2-1. He wins the result on that one. Atlanta United fall to Charlotte in an embarrassing 1-3 loss. It was bad. I'm not going to talk about it anymore. Austin FC just fall short against FC Dallas, 1-0. None of us predicted that right either. Houston Dynamo versus Seattle Sounders. Seattle Sounders win this game 1-0. I predicted a 3-2 Seattle win. That's not what happened, but I'll still take the points for predicting the result. And then Columbus Crew versus Orlando ended in a 2-2 draw. All of us got that one wrong as well. So only ones on this podcast, Brandon and I are the ones that got one game right. Cole, you got 0. So you're the loser. And you're not here to rebuttal, so you're a loser. Anyways, going into MLS 5, match week 12. Brandon, do you want to take us away?
Yes, yes. Number 2, FC Cincinnati is taking on number 7, Montreal. Steve, who do you have?
I got FC Cincinnati playing along with their rankings at 2-1 to Cincinnati.
I think FC Cincinnati will draw this game 1-1. Number 9, Minnesota taking on number 7, Houston Dynamo. Steve, who do you have?
Now, I will actually have a 1-1 draw on this one. I don't think will be enough to separate the two sides.
Yeah, I think Houston Dynamo They're good. Put up a good fight against Seattle. I think they'll bounce back with a win, actually away at Minnesota. I'm going to go with a 2-1 win for the Dynamo. The next game, we have number 4 FC Dallas taking on number 8 Vancouver. Steve?
Yes, I'm going to go the same result Dallas got last week, being a 1-0 win over Vancouver.
Mm, 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 mm. Yeah, I'm gonna go with a 2-2 draw on this one. I feel like I call a lot of draws for some reason. I'm weird. Number 5 Philly taking on number 9 DC United. I think this is clear on who should get the result, but not sure what's gonna happen. I'll say 2-0 Philly. Steve, who do you have?
Yeah, I'll go for that same differential. I'm going to go 3-1 Philly.
Mm. And then, gosh, I can't believe you put this team back on here again. But for our last MLS Fast 5 game, number 4, I can't believe we're still in 4th. Atlanta United versus number 10, Colorado. It's going to be at home. Dear God, if we can't beat Colorado, we are in a lot more trouble than we think. I'm going 3-1. Steve?
Yeah, I'm gonna go 2-0 Atlanta United over Colorado. Hopefully Yakimakis actually starts up top. He was available off the bench last game when he came on, but hopefully if he starts and we get all things going, we start climbing that table a little bit.
Yeah, that'd be nice. That'd be nice to get things back on track, but probably not. That brings us to our final segment of the day. You betcha. This goes without saying. We are amateur bettors. This is in no way betting advice, especially for the fact that we missed all of our bets last week. So that's not good. Steve, what is your lock for this week?
Yeah, my luck for this week, and I promise next episode I won't be this down in the dumps, but it's going to be a Brentford win at Tottenham. They're at plus 290 on the money line. I'm picking the Bees to upset Tottenham away.
Mm. Yeah, that's a decent shout there. And I almost, for my lock, I almost went with Villa beating Liverpool or maybe drawing, but I decided to leave that game alone and let fate happen. I'm gonna go with Inter Milan to draw AC Milan, like I said at the beginning of the podcast, at plus 240 for that to happen. Show me the money, baby. We need that money to re-up on what we lost in the past couple weeks. But that's been it at the supporters section podcast. We hope you enjoyed our time together today. If you made it this far, make sure you leave a like on the video and subscribe if you have not done so. And get in the comments. Let us know how you feel, what you think, all that good stuff. I've been Brandon Pasek. He's been Stephen Curl. Enjoy your week, and we will see you in the next one. Peace out.